Solomon had secured his throne and received wisdom from God. Israel was at peace. Now the young king turned his heart to the task his father could never complete. David had dreamed of building a house for God. He had gathered materials, bronze, iron, cedar, stone. But the Lord had told him, "You are a warrior and have shed blood. Your son will build my house." That son now sat on the throne, and the time had come. Solomon sent word to Hiram, king of Tyre. The Phoenicians were master builders and craftsmen. Their forests of Lebanon held the finest cedar in the world. David had maintained alliance with Hiram, and now Solomon renewed it. "You know that my father David could not build a temple for the name of the Lord his God because of the wars waged against him from all sides, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster. I intend, therefore, to build a temple for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord told my father David when he said, 'Your son, whom I will put on the throne in your place, will build the temple for my name.'" Solomon's request was specific. "Give orders that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men whatever wages you set." Hiram rejoiced when he heard Solomon's message. "Praise be to the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over this great nation." The alliance was formed. Hiram would provide cedar and juniper logs floated down the coast as rafts to a place Solomon designated. In return, Solomon would provide wheat and olive oil for Hiram's household, 20,000 cores of wheat and 20 cores of pressed olive oil annually. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two made a treaty. But building the temple required more than wood. It required labor, vast labor. Solomon conscripted workers from all Israel, 30,000 men. He sent them to Lebanon in shifts of 10,000 each month, so that they spent 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hills. He appointed 3,300 foremen to supervise the workers. The numbers are staggering, nearly 200,000 laborers. The temple would rise on the backs of Israel's sons. This was not slavery in the Egyptian sense. The Israelites served in rotation and returned home. But the burden was real. The freedom God had given Israel at the Exodus was now bent toward a king's ambition, even when that ambition served God's house. At the king's command, they quarried large blocks of high-grade stone. Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders dressed the stone. Workers from Gebal cut and prepared the timber and stone for the temple. The foundation was laid in the 4th year of Solomon's reign, in the month of Ziv, the 2nd month. The temple itself rose slowly, a structure of precise dimensions and magnificent materials. The building was 60 cubits long, 20 wide, and 30 high. A portico extended across the front, 20 cubits wide and 10 cubits deep. High windows illuminated the interior. Against the walls, Solomon built side rooms on 3 levels, each level wider than the one below. The stones were dressed at the quarry. No hammer, chisel, or any iron tool was heard at the temple site during construction. Silence. The house of God rose in silence. The walls were built of stone and lined with cedar planks. The floor was covered with juniper boards. The innermost room, the most holy place, was a perfect cube, 20 cubits long, 20 wide, and 20 high. It was overlaid with pure gold. Gold covered everything. The interior walls were carved with gourds and open flowers. Cherubim and palm trees adorned the cedar panels. The entire floor, from the inner sanctuary to the main hall, was overlaid with gold. For the most holy place, Solomon made 2 cherubim of olive wood. Each cherub was 10 cubits high. Each had 2 wings 5 cubits long. Their wings stretched across the room, touching wall to wall, and met in the center. These two were overlaid with gold. The entrance to the inner sanctuary had olive wood doors carved with cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, all covered with hammered gold. The doorway itself was framed in olive wood. For the main hall, Solomon made double doors of juniper wood, each with 2 leaves that could fold back. These too were carved with cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid with gold beaten evenly over the carvings. The courtyard was built with 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams. 7 years. The temple took 7 years to build. During those years, the word of the Lord came to Solomon. As for this temple you are building, if you follow my decrees, observe my laws, and keep all my commands and obey them, I will fulfill through you the promise I gave to David your father. And I will live among the Israelites, and will not abandon my people Israel. The promise echoed the covenant made with David, and reached back further still, to the days of the tabernacle in the wilderness, when God's presence dwelt among his people in a tent. Now the tent was becoming a house. The portable sanctuary was becoming a permanent dwelling. The temple was not merely a monument to Solomon's glory. It was a statement of faith, that God would keep his word, that he would dwell among his people, that the throne of David would endure. But the temple was not the only building Solomon constructed. He built his own palace as well, a complex that took 13 years to complete. 13 years for the palace, 7 for the temple. The comparison is unavoidable. Solomon gave God a house, but he gave himself a larger one. The seeds of self-glorification were planted alongside the cedars of Lebanon. The palace of the forest of Lebanon was 100 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high. It had 4 rows of cedar columns supporting trimmed cedar beams. 45 rooms were arranged in 3 tiers. Its windows faced each other in sets of 3. The door frames were rectangular, and the openings faced each other. The palace of the forest of Lebanon was 100 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high. It had 4 rows of cedar columns supporting trimmed cedar beams. 45 rooms were arranged in 3 tiers. Its windows faced each other in sets of 3. The door frames were rectangular, and the openings faced each other. The hall of pillars was 50 cubits long and 30 wide, with a portico in front supported by pillars and a canopy at the entrance. The hall of the throne, the hall of justice, was where Solomon would sit to judge. It was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. The living quarters for Solomon and for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married, were built behind the throne hall, similar in construction. All these structures were made of high-grade stone, cut to size and trimmed with saws. The foundations were laid with huge blocks, some measuring 10 cubits and some 8. Above were high-grade stones and cedar beams. The great courtyard was enclosed with 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 of cedar beams. To furnish the temple, Solomon sent for Hiram from Tyre, a craftsman whose mother was from the tribe of Naphtali and whose father was a man of Tyre. Hiram was skilled in bronze work, and he came to King Solomon to do all the bronze work. He cast 2 bronze pillars for the portico of the temple. Each pillar was 18 cubits high and 12 cubits in circumference, hollow, with walls 4 fingers thick. On top of each pillar was a capital of cast bronze, 5 cubits high, decorated with intertwined chains and 400 pomegranates arranged in 2 rows. These pillars stood at the entrance of the temple. The one on the south was named Jachin. The one on the north was named Boaz. The meaning of these names has been debated across centuries. Perhaps they declared, "He establishes. In him is strength." Perhaps they echoed old prayers or dynastic promises. Whatever their precise meaning, they framed the entrance to God's house with declarations of divine stability and power. Hiram also made the sea, a massive bronze basin, 10 cubits from rim to rim, 5 cubits high, and 30 cubits in circumference. It rested on 12 bronze oxen, 3 facing each direction of the compass. It held 2,000 baths of water. He made 10 bronze stands with wheels, each 4 cubits long, 4 wide, and 3 high. Each stand had panels with lions, bulls, and cherubim, and above each stand was a circular band half a cubit high to hold a basin. Each basin held 40 baths. 5 stands were placed on the south side of the temple, and 5 on the north. The sea was placed on the south side, at the southeast corner. Hiram also made pots, shovels, and sprinkling bowls. So Hiram finished all the work he had undertaken for King Solomon in the temple of the Lord. The list of bronze work was staggering. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals, the 2 sets of network decorating the capitals, the 400 pomegranates, the 10 stands